Today I'm gonna review the FeiyuTech AK2000C gimbal, or should I say, I'm gonna give you my opinion, basically if it's worth the $230 price tag they put on it. And I find that the very foundation of a review. Is it worth the money they're asking for it? Recently, my friends at FeiyuTech, they asked me to do a few promotional videos for them, which I did, paid work, and that's how I make a living. I make photos and videos. To make those videos, FeiyuTech sent me, among other things, this gimbal here I'm going to review for you now, and give you my take on it. Being that I sometimes work for FeiyuTech, you know, am I gonna be biased in my review of this gimbal? No, I don't, no. I can be hired to do a lot of things, and making promotional videos is one of those things. But my opinion isn't for sale. So let's review this gimbal. Commonly when I watch those reviews, they have like an unboxing segment. This is the box, it looks like this. It's absolutely useless for anything than to carry the gimbal from the store to me. So I really never understood unboxing stuff. It's just boring. And now, as we've done a thorough unboxing, we should maybe talk about the features this gimbal has, all the bells and whistles. And it has a lot. It has a lot of features. But with gimbals, the main thing is movement. How smooth is the movement? Because if the movement is okay, or not smooth at all the bells and whistles don't mean a thing. So as you could see, it's smooth, it's very good. For a $230 gimbal, the movement is excellent. If you double down on that with a in-camera stabilization or lens stabilization, which I don't have, and even triple down on that with warp stabilization in post where it's needed, you're gonna get amazing footage. Straight from the gimbal, it's great, but adding these two is gonna be amazing. I did notice a little sound in the motors when it's balancing the camera, but to my surprise, it wasn't really noticeable in the recordings. So even if I can hear a little bit, it's absolutely not a deal breaker. To control the movement of this gimbal, it has all the usual modes which you would find in any gimbal. It has follow, full follow, pan follow, lock mode, inception mode. You can go selfie mode, you can do portrait shooting. It has all that basic stuff, and also, you know, it has the ability to lock the gimbal arms, and it has this nice tripod where you can put the gimbal down, and well, it has also this nice wooden shaft, which is fancy. I like that, you know. I like a little extra, but it doesn't really help the performance, it's just cool. But what this gimbal has also, and I have not seen in other gimbals, is this touchscreen. I can control a remote with the touchscreen, and I never have to like double click or triple click or click this button and this button. These sequences I just can't remember. I never remember this. And also, I can control all the settings, the payload settings, everything I can control from this touchscreen. So I do not have to pick up my smartphone to control this. And for me, that's a huge thing, because I can't stand having to use my smartphone for stuff like that. If your camera is compatible with the gimbal, you can control it from the gimbal, from the touchscreen, which you can control the ISO, white balance and stuff like that. If the camera is not compatible with the gimbal, it doesn't really matter. You know, you lose that. It doesn't matter what you put on the gimbal, as long as the gimbal can carry it, you're good to go. The mounting plate is compatible with the Arca Quick Release system. That's amazing for me, because all my stuff has Arca. And furthermore, you can take the camera off the base plate and put it back on without reassembling and balancing the camera, the camera on the gimbal. This gimbal, the AK2000C, is one of the lightest gimbal on the market that can carry a full-frame camera with interchangeable lenses. So it's ideal for extended periods of single-hand use. The ability to control this gimbal with one hand, even on a bike or on a skateboard or whatever rocks your boat, is great. It's designed primarily for mirrorless cameras with a payload of 2.2 kilos. But it is also suitable, as you can see here. I have for DSLRs, because I have my Canon 5D Mark IV here with my 60-35 2.8 lens. Now this setup is roughly 2 kilos, 1.8 kilos ish, about that. So it's the weight is not a problem, but the length is. Let me explain. When I balance the camera on this gimbal with this lens, which is, by the way, the longest lens I can use with this camera on this gimbal. Why? Because there is like a space here. I find that this screw takes up a little bit too much real estate, because I cannot back this gimbal anymore because it balances perfectly like this. But let's say I have to put on ND filter, and let's say this lens cap is the ND filter. It's probably a little lighter than an ND, but then I cannot balance it, because if I try to balance it, it's gonna hit the back of the motor, and that's just not gonna happen. And even if this screw was smaller, it would hit the rubbery thing on the viewfinder. So I just took that off, because I can actually use this with an ND filter, even if it doesn't balance correctly, because the motors of this things are strong. So even if it tilts forward, the motors can still carry it. So I could actually use an ND filter. But you know, problem with that is that if you torture your motors like that, they're not gonna last as long. But if that's good for you, that's fine for me. You charge it via USB. It takes about an hour and a half to charge it, to fully charge it, and the battery life is good for about 7 hours. Now, keep in mind that if you're straining the motors, or you have a really heavy camera on your gimbal, like I have here, the battery life could suffer, but because it's charged via USB, you cannot replace batteries. But what you can do, you can charge it while you use it with a little battery bank or something like that. Because this gimbal is so small, so light, so compact, and it can carry my full-frame DSLR with the 16-35, it can fit in every camera bag I have, which is a huge deal for me because I'm not looking for more bags to carry when I go out for a shoot. I'm just not. So this fits, and that means I'm gonna take it places. You know, with my bigger gimbals, I take it when I have a mission to go out and shoot with my 1DX or stuff like that, the heavier cameras. But for run and gun, this tiny gimbal is actually great. So in conclusions, is this gimbal worth $230? Let's find out after this short message from our sponsors. No, I'm just kidding. I just wanted to build up a little tension. Yes, it's a great gimbal. It's light, it's compact, it can carry my 5D Mark IV with my 16 to 35 lens, which is the lens I most often use for gimbals. And also it can do all the good stuff I mentioned before. So I think $230 for this is a bargain. Thank you for watching. I hope you enjoyed it. At least maybe it helped you to decide on a gimbal, if it's that or some other.